Now, US President Joe Biden announcing his bid for re-election, a campaign video being released on this, the anniversary of his run for the White House back in 2020. But he will be 86 at the end of that second term, and 70% of Americans, we're told, think it's time for him maybe to hand over to a younger generation. So is this a president now out of time? Let's speak to Professor David Dunn, Professor of International Politics at the University of Birmingham. David, we have spoken before, and you felt maybe that he was going to go for it, but clearly there may be many of those in the Democrat Party thinking, is he going to be up to it?
Yes, the Democrats have made a Faustian bargain to stick with Biden, even though he has this great age and the prospect of him being infirm during that period of office. But the bargain they've struck is that actually he's the best candidate they've got, and they don't want to run someone against him who would damage him in that process, only to have him being the candidate at the end who they're left with. And therefore, the big guns in the Democratic Party have stayed silent. There was also, of course, the issue that there was no one of great status to go against him. The likely candidate, if he were to have stepped down to take the nomination, would have been Kamala Harris, and she is regarded as unpopular. Her opinion polls are very low. She's not regarded as having done a great job as vice president. She was given the tricky job of dealing with the southern border. She hasn't made a great fist of that, and therefore they're stuck with Biden, and they hope that he can beat Trump, and they hope that Trump is the candidate they face, because the opinion polls suggest that any other candidate that he faced, he may have difficulty against him in the general election when it comes.
Yeah, so has part of the Democrat Party thinking been that he may be the best person to take on Trump rather than a younger candidate such as DeSantis?
Yeah, this calculation is based on the presumption that Trump will get the nomination. Yeah. DeSantis, who looked great in the midterm elections, has really not made much weather since then. He's been hesitant. He's not quite sure of where he positioned himself. He's not quite sure how he responds to Trump. And of course, the prosecution in New York of Trump has made him more popular with his base, raked in more money as a consequence of those prosecutions, and given him more airtime. So Trump, from looking a weak candidate, relatively speaking, a few months ago, as a consequence of the prosecutions and the way in which that's played, actually looks a stronger candidate, looks much more likely to get the nomination. And that's the calculation of the Democrats, that actually in a race-off between these two very old men, that actually their very old man will be the one who came out on top. Of course, if it was DeSantis or if it was Nikki Haley, if Trump was to fall through prosecution, through imprisonment or whatever, then actually the calculations could be quite different. So it's a high-risk strategy in some ways on the Democratic Party, given how unpopular Biden is, given how concerned people are about his advanced age.
Yeah, and of course, 86, I think, will be the final tally if he lasts that second term. But David, as ever, thanks for joining us with your analysis of that situation. But he is up officially running for that 2024 ticket. Thank you.